All right, welcome back. Let's watch this small, short video, and then we'll talk. I also have an article that we should review. Tinubu, I will not turn back on Nigerians. Let's get to it.
Hello? Hello?
Okay, you couldn't hear it. Is that correct?
I had you initially, Stephen was saying he will not turn, his back
But you couldn't hear that video? You couldn't hear that video that's playing?
Yes, okay.
You can't. Okay.
Yes, I cannot. Yes.
I wonder why that's it. Okay, all right. So let's just go ahead and stick. Tinubu said he would not turn back. Nigeria. I think my audio might be. Let's try this. Hold on 1 second.
Well, I can hear you.
You can hear me, but the audio from the thing is somewhat disconnected.
Yeah, that may be because you are traveling, you are on the road in Boston. Otherwise, if this is anchored from the main studio base in New Jersey, it will be different.
Yeah. So let's do this. There's an article here. We're just gonna have to work with what we got today. Let's do that. All right. So why another coup is so unlikely in Nigeria? This is according to BBC. It's an article by Azizat Olaoluwa on BBC. And it reads, Nigeria, a nation once notorious for military rule, is marking 25 years of democracy at a time when several of its West African neighbors have had coups in recent years. The brass bands will play, the crowd will cheer, and the president will make a speech. But outside of Wednesday's official event, many may be wondering what the celebration is really for. You cannot eat democracy. It's a phrase often attributed to autocrats, but it has always been used by elected leaders as a warning about what the population might demand of them. So I'm sure you got like maybe a good grasp of what they're talking about there.
Yeah, a good drift. Number one, let us applaud Nigeria for being able to publicly come out to organize parades, give speeches, and reviews during the last June 12 public holiday in Nigeria. And for those who are not Nigerians, what is June 12? June 12 essentially is about the landmark date in the year 1993 when several Nigerians, I think the population of those who voted that day was put at about, I don't know if 14 million, or I wouldn't remember now specifically, so we can't speculate around that. But millions of Nigerians defied the wet conditions of that day. And after a torturous schedule and changes in dates of a military handover, and then believing the promises served on a hapless and cynical populace, voters, by the then self-styled military president of Nigeria, Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, otherwise known as IBB or Maradona. He was styled, he was nicknamed Maradona because people felt in a way that was characteristic of a Argentinian soccer player, the late Diego Maradona, that General Babangida was a master dribbler and that he could not be trusted. Well, he would, openly embrace that name, that nickname, but it was actually used derisively about the different ways in which he used to manipulate the populace. Once he set up a political bureau, there were debates as to whether Nigeria should take IMF loan, World Bank facilities. At the end of the day, they said it was rejected, but via back channel, they smuggled on Nigeria, bitter neoliberal economic policies in the name of a structural adjustment program, SAP. People in my generation who were just getting admissions into the universities and people who were already in the system all over Nigeria mobilized, and they are worth a massive 1989 anti-SAP protest or riots. Several Nigerians were killed, mauled down. And then a culmination of that was the political transition and handover from military to elected civilian leadership. 1992, every contestant on the platform of then two political parties in Nigeria, Social Democratic Party, SDP, National Republican Convention, NRC, because of underhand tactics and intolerant political, what do you call it, games. All of them were disqualified and banned. And then, I mean, in that class were people like Shehu, the one-time number 2 military man from 1976 to 1979, the late Major General Shehu Musa Yaradua. He was banned. People like Chief Olufalai, now Oba Olufalai of Iluabu, also ran. He was banned. Iwanyanwu Emmanuel. People like Arthur Nzeribe, all of them were banned. And then the field was left open for the emergence of people like Chief Moshood Olawale Kashimawo, MKO Abiola, and from SDP, and the late Alhaji Bashir Tofa of NRC. So these two political titans, but the what's it called? Bashir Tofa was more of a was more less titanic than the behemoth business phenomenon, COUP, political surprise, named as a Moshood Kashimawo Olawale Abiola, MKO Abiola. And so there's part assurances between IBB, that is Babangida, and MKO Abiola as personal friends. When it was time for Babangida to be an authentic soldier, a man whose bond could be trusted, he failed the nation again. And then all the votes that were garnered that made MKO Abiola victorious in an election that was adjudged to be the freest and fairest in the history of Nigeria was annulled by military fiat. And the infamy of that occasion got supported and orchestrated by characters like Arthur Nzeribe, one man called Abimbola Davis. These are people that history will never forget for throwing Nigeria into a traumatic, long-drawn political impasse. You know, they came out with what was known as Association for Better Nigeria, ABN, and aided by a midnight judgment by one late Justice Ikweme. The election was annulled. And so Shonekon came on board as ING man, interim national government person. Thereafter, Sani Abacha, Taciturn General, that goggled, and he was the one who shoved Shonekon aside and consolidated on power hold. The long and short of it is that Nigeria has had a transition to democracy on the blood of a matter of democracy like MKO Abiola and others. And when people talk about being authentic heroes of Nigerian democracy today, yes, Nigeria has had this experience unbroken, uninterrupted for the past 25 years. When people talk about being heroes of democracy, yes, we applaud the role played by people like Professor Wole Soyinka. Now we have also known that Brigadier General David Mark, who later became Senate President in Nigeria, played active role in supporting the pro-democracy movement. But what people like us thought before was that for a man who once claimed that a cell phone was not meant for the poor, for a man who was identified as a key IBB boy, one of those who said Babangida must annul the election. So it's a surprise to people like me to learn that he was actually one of those who assisted Dr. Kayode Fayemi, the immediate past governor of Ekiti State, to set up Radio Kudirat and other surreptitious pro-democracy activities. We applaud these people. But on a personal note, let me tell you, people like us were also involved. As a young university, are you there, Ola? Hello?
Yes, I am here. Yes.
Yeah. As a young university student, I remember coordinating NANS activities for SDP concerning Zone D. And when the military said the end had come for that democratic dispensation, that the two political parties should be should dismantle and every politician should go back home. I remember pinning down the then chairman of SDP in Ondo State. I don't know if he's still alive, Mr. Blessing Kayode, a native of Idori. He was the chairman of SDP in Ondo State. And I told him, so you people are not going to blink an eye. I mean, is it the way you people are just going to be cowardly and then you won't argue with these people? And the man looked at me and laughed. I said, so how do you argue with people who carry guns and you don't even have guns? That was, yes. One Mr. Akochile then was the secretary of SDP in Ondo State. These were the memories I had, and it was a huge disappointment, and then we started resistance. But personally, there was one young man from Ayede Ogbese. His name was Olorunda, the younger brother to a friend of mine, Babatunde Dele. Olorunda was working as an attendant at SO filling station in Akure. And then people like us were daring the soldiers, driving through bonfires and putting up pro-democracy posters. And they couldn't catch us because that same year, I was coordinating for Oyemeku Festival Committee, having been contracted by Chief Mrs. Adekonye, Chief Mrs. Mercy Adefumilayo Adekonye, to handle the Oyemeku Festival thing. And I was hiding under that. You know, I was organizing the Oyemeku Miss Oyemeku thing for the Akure, the Oyemeku Festival thing. And under that, we were driving through bonfires and defying gunshots from soldiers to paste pro-democracy posters. That was the circumstance in which Olorunda, who was an attendant at SO filling station at Okemesho, Ayetoro Akure, that was how he got shot. I will remember the trauma of how people like, people were trying to push the intestines back into the stomach. Very gory that day. And he ended up at Kolade Memorial Hospital.
Sorry, somebody said here, Omo, this man's memory is lit. So I know you can go on and on and on over there, but I have a question for you with regards to this.
Please, let me run this.
I'll let you finish. But finish it with this question.
Yeah, Olorunda, who succumbed, who died. Nobody mentions people like him today anymore when they are talking of what people like TINUBU did, the big billionaires, what they have done. Yes, we celebrate Baba Alfred Rewani, the late, Kudirat Abiola and all those people. But commoners, as Olorunda was going to die at Christopher Kolade Hospital in Akure, I remember what he was. The mother was saying, I will sell my goat. I will say, please don't let him die. And the boy said, Yemi, Shebimi, no, Mom, it's not my fault too. I love to hang on to life. I love longevity. And the guy died. The young man died. So when billionaires gather in Nigeria today, as if it's all about them, and when Nigerians are demanding that, we want dividends of democracy. So I understand the context in which the context through which this article from BBC was written. Yes,
Right.
it is unlikely that this democracy project in Nigeria, it is not likely to fail like the others before. But if the others failed, if people, because of frustration, could demand openly for military coup that led to the first revolution, January 15, 1966 in Nigeria, who told anybody we should not live in fool's paradise? All the shenanigans that you have seen people like Yahya Bello perpetuate, all that you have seen happen through Yeson Wike in Rivers State, all that you have seen, people jumping boat anyhow, lacking in principle, ideology, and philosophy, those things could as well undermine Nigeria's democracy. I do not wish that this democracy will fail. It will not fail. But if it fails, then it will be because we deliberately work towards its failure.
All right, good. So I know for a fact that we're on the same page with regards to obviously respecting the time of our audience. So with that being said, I want to ask you this question. Are you saying that just because there's no coup, explain this part for me, just because there's no coup or there's no possibility of coup does not mean that the democracy have succeeded? Is that what we're driving at here?
It has not succeeded entirely. In place of military coup, or what people identify as the blatant coup d'etat,
Right.
there is political coup against the electorate and the people
There's
who are
different forms of coup. There's 2024 forms of coups, and we have to pay attention to those.
So this political coup, through which somebody will happen on the stage and said in one fell swoop, because he wants to stand, he wants to stand tough and strong, and said subsidy is gone, and since then the economy is in the doldrums. What do you call that? It's a form of political coup against the kind-hearted Nigerian people that gave them political power. This is the point I'm making.
All right. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate you. All right. What are your thoughts about this? What we're discussing is why a coup is unlikely in Nigeria's democracy. Do you think it's unlikely? Do you think it's likely? Do you think we're already in the middle of it? Want to hear your thoughts on this? Want to get your opinions on this? I appreciate you all for being here. Shout out to all the 9 people watching live. Shout out to Natu, I see you. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, follow. Turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. Check out this next segment.